Hi, I'm Larry Richardson, your step-by-step chef. In this episode, we're going to make an absolutely delicious Mexican salsa egg scrambler burrito. It's a great breakfast burrito. It does tend to be on the spicy side, so if you like your food spicy hot, you'll absolutely love this dish. You can turn the heat down a little bit if you need to, but let me show you how to make this delicious burrito. Come on, let's cook. And here are the basic ingredients for our Mexican salsa breakfast burrito. The first thing we're going to do is use 3 eggs, because you really can't have a breakfast burrito without eggs. Then we're going to mince up a 1/4 cup of sweet onion. You can also use yellow, white, or red onion, totally up to you. We have 1 teaspoon of butter. We'll have about 2 tablespoons of minced cilantro that we'll sprinkle on the top of the breakfast burrito at the end. And then we have 1 jalapeno. If you don't like it that spicy, you can use half of that or eliminate it altogether, because we're also going to use 1/3 cup of spicy pepper jack cheese. I knew I could say that. That will actually turn up the heat some anyways. And we're going to grate that. And the final thing we're going to do is heat up some tortillas, warm those tortillas, and wrap them around the egg scrambler so that you do end up with a breakfast burrito. I think you're really going to enjoy this. So let me show you how to put it all together. And the first thing we're going to do is just pre-scramble our eggs. And I have 3 eggs. If you really like this, you can certainly add 4 eggs to it. But I like the veggies to stand out, so I'm a little bit tight when it comes to the eggs. So I'm just adding 3 of these and giving them a quick scramble. It's just so much easier to do all this prep work ahead of time, because then you're just pouring stuff into the pan as needed. Okay, so let's set that aside. And first we'll cut our sweet onion. Now I put this glove on because I'm going to have to cut a jalapeno at some point in this process. And that jalapeno, if I don't put a glove on, I guarantee you that after I'm done cooking, I'll touch my eye. And when you touch your eye after cutting jalapeno or any hot pepper, ooh la la, whew, you feel it. So that's a lesson learned. So I just slip this glove on real quick. And if you don't want to buy these vinyl gloves, then you can just use your knife and fork judiciously and get the same job done. Now what I'm doing here is I'm scoring the top of the onion, so we end up with minced onion. I scored it this way and then perpendicular, and it makes little squares. And then I just cut down the face. And we end up with our 1/4 cup of minced sweet onion. And again, whatever onion you want to use is fine. I just find that the sweet onion plays off really well with the spiciness of this dish. And now we have our jalapeno. Just going to cut that top stem off. And again, you can eliminate this altogether if you're a little squeamish about heat. I love my dishes roasting hot. So I'm going to add a whole one. And I'm just taking the core out. And believe it or not, the heat in the jalapeno, it's in that white part. And, you know, if you want it really, really hot, try to get the seeds out and leave that little bit of white core in. It is absolutely scorching. And then I'm just going to rinse these seeds off. And then we're just going to mince this too. Mince the jalapeno. I like my omelets. Some people like omelets with huge pieces of veggie in it. I don't. I like them really minced up. And especially something like this that is supposed to be a close approximation of a salsa, a really good salsa. And then I'm just cutting it like this. So we end up with a nice minced jalapeno. And this one, you know, you can tell if a jalapeno is going to be hot by the aroma. This one's very green, and I can smell the sneaky heat behind it. So I think I'm going to be in scorch mouth bliss when I eat this scrambler, this breakfast burrito. Wow. And now we take our Campari tomatoes, and I'm using 3 Campari tomatoes. If you can't get Camparis, then just use whatever tomato you can get. And we're shooting for about 1/3 of a cup of tomato. And the secret to making this is to remove the seeds and pulp, because the seeds and pulp will make it too wet. The egg mixture will be too wet, and you'll end up with this soggy breakfast burrito. I don't want that. So what I'm doing is cutting them like this, then taking them over to the sink and just rinsing out the pulp and seeds. I'll show you in a second. So that's what I want to do with each of these segments. Just get rid of the seedy pulp. Okay, so I got rid of that seedy pulp, and then I'm just going to slice it fine, and then just give it a half slice. So each of these segments, slice them fine, and then give them a half. And you don't want a piece too much bigger than that. All of this should blend nicely. Some people do like their omelets, I mean not their omelets, but their breakfast burritos with big chunks of veg in it. I like everything all mixed up. And then the last thing we're going to slice up is our cilantro. So let's mince that. And the cilantro has been rinsed off. And I'm just going down, a very general mince. And again, this will be sprinkled on top of the egg mixture before we fold up the burrito. I love cilantro. What a fresh flavor. Now, if you can't get cilantro, that's okay. I still think you'll get a good salsa taste out of this dish. The heat alone will take you to the Yucatan. So here we go. And I'm just putting this in a separate little bowl so I remember to sprinkle that on top. And the final thing we'll do is shred our 1/3 of a cup of cheese. And this pepper jack is hot, so it will add some real heat to the breakfast burritos automatically. And there's our 1/3 of a cup. And if you want to make more cheese, go ahead. I'm not going to tell anyone at all, that they can't have more cheese if that's what they enjoy. It's a little warm in here, so the cheese is kind of a little bit tacky. It's kind of falling apart a little bit. That's what studio life is like, in the big city. But that'll do. So I'm going to meet you over at the stove. Okay, the prep work is done. Now comes the fun part. I have this small pan heating over medium heat. And what we're going to do in this is take 2 of our tortillas. These are flour tortillas. And we're just going to put them in there. And what we're going to do is brown them. And the browning process just involves putting them in and just flipping them in alternating ways until both sides are browned. You don't want them so crispy that you can't roll them, but you want them slightly browned and warm enough that you can roll them around the egg mixture, which we're going to make now. Now the inside of the breakfast burrito is the vegetable and egg scrambler. So this pan has been heating over just under medium heat. We're going to add our teaspoon of butter. And just coat the bottom of the pan. And you don't want it like so buttery that that's a prominent note in this dish. So a teaspoon is just fine. We're just coating the pan so the egg mixture doesn't stick to it. And then we just add our veggies. And while we're doing this, we have to flip those tortillas occasionally so that they brown and warm up just right. It smells just like salsa. Wow, is that delicious. So I'm just giving a little bit of a stir. And what we're doing is sauteing it. So just as those onions start to look translucent, then we know it's time to add the eggs. and I certainly will show you that. So this will take about 2 minutes of sautéing, and then we'll stir the eggs into it, scramble the eggs into it. And here is our vegetable mix, and it's looking good. It's looking good. Now I can add the egg mixture to it and scramble that in. Doesn't that look delicious? That's a breakfast burrito. And while I'm doing this, again, I am flipping those tortillas so that they're lightly browned, but not to the point where they're so stiff they can't be wrapped around this egg mixture. And I'm using tongs to do that, so don't feel like you have to get scorched fingertips to get this done. Use tongs or whatever, or even a spatula to flip them as you go. Just give this a nice scramble. You know, there's a little extra liquid in this because of the vegetables, so it looks a little loose when you start to do this, but it'll tighten right up. Just give it time, be patient. Don't serve the eggs wet. Nobody likes a soggy breakfast burrito. This will come around just fine. Okay, so this took about 10 minutes. Now the egg is dry and crumbly and perfect for our breakfast burritos. So I'm going to show you how to put it together. Okay, so you can see we have a warmed and browned, lightly browned flour tortilla. And all we do is take a scoop of our egg mixture and we just put it in the tortilla. And this is how we're going to make our breakfast burrito. And then we sprinkle some of our pepper jack on top of it. Yum. And then we just add a little bit of our cilantro. Now, people do ask me, step by step, they say, everyone calls me that, of course, when do you add salt to your dishes? Because in a lot of dishes, I don't add salt when I'm actually cooking because I find that the salt disappears. And also, different people have a different tolerance for salt. And I've gone out to restaurants way too many times lately where the meal was oversalted to the point of being unpleasant. I like to trust people, pretty much everyone over 6 years old, to salt their own food. So this is when I would salt it. There we go. It's salted. And that does, of course, bring out the flavor. So I'm not anti-salt. I'm just saying the salt you add, get the most juice out of it. And then you just fold this over, like this, and you have a delicious, spicy salsa breakfast burrito. So congratulations, look at what you just made. You just made this delicious, spicy salsa breakfast burrito. And you can also serve this as just a scrambler with a piece of toast, but I like it breakfast burrito style. You can get a free printable version of this recipe on my website, stepbystepchef.com. There you'll also find well over 100 recipes for delicious meals, breakfast, lunch, dinners, and even a couple of desserts. Now, the other thing you're going to find there is a link to my cookbook, cookingwiththestepbystepchef.com. If you don't want to print every single recipe, or you want to give a gift of the Step-by-Step Chef, especially to beginning cooks or experienced cooks who want to try something new, the link is right on my site. So please take a look at this too. So my name is Larry Richardson. I am your Step-by-Step Chef, and I'll see you in the next episode. Makes a great gift.